Hey everybody, this is Tasha with Prepper'S and my awesome friend Mouse Toes from Mouse Toes channel. So today we are talking about pressure canning for beginners. So we're going to talk about the parts of the pressure canner, what their real names are, so that everybody's on the same page. We're going to talk about safety practices, things like that, the best way to store your jars, all of that good stuff, how to check your jars, everything, y'all, because we want to make sure that everybody's safe when we're doing this, and we want you to, follow all these rules so we don't have somebody get sick from not doing it correctly or from not storing something correctly or following the proper safety procedures. Okay? So, Mouse Toes is going to be the main chickadee talking about this today, but let me say hi. Hi, Bella. Hi, Alicia. Good to see you. If anybody else is out there, let me know. Well, it's a little slow tonight. I think maybe notifications didn't go out. I'm wondering.
Notifications are the worst, but that's why it's nice to always watch an informative live stream back later.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Yeah.
people can watch this later.
Yep.
Also, hi everybody over on Pilled. Good to see you again. Because of my bandwidth, I cannot have more than one page up, and I just have the main internal page here going. So, sorry if I can't see your comments, but CB's daughter, thank you for moderating over there. She will be sure and text me any questions that you guys have. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch. And if for some reason we freeze up, one of us freezes up, the other will just kind of keep the conversation going until I can get back on or she can get back on. Okay?
I'll
Because
dance till you
it
come
does
back.
happen. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
All right. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Miss Mouse Toes.
Let's chitty chat about pressure canning. Okay. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the side chat. I don't have YouTube pulled up for the same reason as Tasha, because I don't want interference with it, because we're both DSL girls, right? I live on the coast. She's in Oklahoma, and there's real issues with things. So the most important thing to do when you get a pressure canner, and we're not talking about a pressure cooker, we're talking about a pressure canner, where we're going to talk about pressure canning food, okay, is say you get at a garage sale, go on your computer, on your phone. There are manuals for these things. Miro has them. Presto has them. All American has them for the ones back in the day. You can also get the manual to your pressure canner, okay? So this one I've had since 2012, right? It gives you all the instructions inside on how much water to add. One of the reasons I've said this before, I like my Presto canner, is they made it idiot proof. Inside of it, it has an indentation that tells me fill my water line to there for pressure canning. There's another indentation higher up if I want a water bath, and that would let me cover my jars 1 inch in water. I don't use it to water bath. I use a thin, it's like that spackleware or something thing that comes up to a boil faster. And the most important thing about learning about pressure canning, you can watch me or Tasha or anybody can chicken, but what you have to do is get your own books, get your own resources, okay? This is a ball book, right? It's an older one, and it's mine. And then I have the newer one that I've done some videos from. But if I want to can chicken, I'm not going to go watch Tasha's video and go, okay, how do I do the chicken? I'm literally going to come to page 398 in this complete book of home preserving, and I'm going to look up meats. In this case, chicken. It's all in the same place. Because you're wondering, do I pressure can it? Do I water bath it? Let me tell you how good a book from Ball or USDA approved ones, not Sarah Ann's pressure cannon book, okay? A real trusted, reputable source. Prepare, this is what it tells you to do first. Prepare the weighted gauge pressure canner, okay? So you go, oh, I can't water bath it. And you're thinking, well, when I watched Tasha, she pressure canned it. That's true. But what is the process to do? Did you skip a note watching it? So then it tells you, are you going to raw pack it, hot pack it, right? And you're going to put it into room temperature jars. It's going to tell you exactly the steps to go through. So always go to your book. Don't go to a girlfriend's Facebook cannon page and look for that. You can certainly watch the steps on YouTube, but if you have your book with you, now you're not going to make a mistake. It even tells you how long to process pints or quarts, right? And that has nothing to do with your area. It doesn't matter what altitude you're in, you're going to process those pints, right? Okay, for, in my case, it's 10 pounds of pressure, right? If you're doing bone in, it'll say 65 minutes. Boneless is 75 minutes. Quart jars, 75 minutes. Boneless chicken, 90 minutes. So this is your idiot-proof safety mechanism. Don't just watch people pressure can poultry, we're talking about chicken in this case, and go, oh, that's how I do it. Okay, don't do that. There's nothing wrong with watching it, of course. And remember, I take notes on mine. When I start that canning, I open my trusted source. In this case, it would be chicken. It said to do 1 inch of headspace. It's 10 pounds for my area. Pints, 75 minutes, because I do no bone chicken, okay? And then the vent start time and the process start time. I took that information from this reference before I even started canning the chicken. So it told me I'm going to process in my pressure canner for 75 minutes, and I generally do pints because it's 2 adults here. So that's what I write down. In your manual, it'll show you the steps to your particular canner. We're talking about Presto because Tasha and I both have a Presto canner. So what we want to do is show an image of the lid, and I've labeled it as to what the parts are. You don't have to concern yourself with the science of, let me see, I got it out of one of these, right? And oh, and this is interesting. A 16-quart canner refers to the amount of water that it holds. Doesn't have anything to do with how many pints or quarts it will hold, right? So I really enjoy that, like they talk about in the manual or in the Ball book, the water in your pressure canner gets hot. It builds up steam, which builds up the pressure. And then that pressure builds heat up higher than you can get boiling. And it's the heat that kills the microorganism of botulism, or that causes botulism. That's the importance of why you have to vent for 10 minutes. Getting all the air out of that pressure canner. Don't vent for 6 minutes. Don't vent for 7. It says in this manual to vent for 10 minutes. It says it in this book that I'm following to vent for 10 minutes. And that is all part of bringing that pressure canner up to pressure till you get that 10 minutes of a steady stream. Your timer goes off, or you wrote down when 10 minutes was up. And then you put on your weight, or in our case, we like to call this a jiggler, right? So for my area, this is 5 pounds. This is an aftermarket item, by the way. This is a 5-pound ring. So these together make 10. If I were in an area that needed 15 pounds, it came with 2 circles. These little added things came with 2 of those. So that would make 15. So it's very important that we vent for 10 minutes. And remember, our jar's in there, our lid is locked. So let's take a look at a picture of our lid that I stuck some sticky things on that tell us what they are. But I don't know if you know this, I am a share your screen challenged individual. So I'm going to try. So we're going to see how it goes. Okay. So let's see. First, I got to click on the share thing. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. I told them don't show me this tip again, but of course it wouldn't listen to me. I've got my picture up, or I don't. Let me see. Let's see. I have to cancel that because maybe it took my picture down. No, my picture's right there. It's messing with my mind, people. Okay. I'm
okay.
serious. You saw me click share. I did it like a boss. Okay. So I got to click my window. There we go. Now we're going to share. And Tasha's going to tell me when she can see it.
Now we can see it. Hold on. I'm going to put it on full screen so it's easier.
Take your time.
Okay. All right.
All right. So this is the lid of my Presto pressure canner. Almost all pressure canners look like this, whether they're a Miro or a modern and expensive and wonderful All-American. Okay. So what you're looking at the bottom is the air vent / cover lock. I call that a petcock, but it's not. Because when I was growing up, my dad would have me canning, right? You holler at me when the petcock comes up, okay? So the one in the middle is the pressure dial gauge. The one in the very back is the overpressure plug. That is a little rubber piece that goes up and down. That is the reason that your pressure canner cannot explode like old ones did if the pressure went over 15 pounds and someone canning was distracted. We've all seen those crazy, they're fake pictures of the lid of a pressure canner going up and crashing into someone's vent hood and then crashing into their flat stove. They're not true pictures, right? They're just fakes. And then over on the right, it says vent pipe. That is where the steam comes out of that canner for 10 minutes. And then you put your jiggler or your original regulator on there that came with your canner. So this is the lid of our Presto. So you've got the air vent cover lock, the pressure dial gauge, the overpressure plug, and then the vent pipe. So I can stop sharing that one, Tasha.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to get mine, and God help me if I don't X myself out of here. Okay. Now, where did I put my lid? I have to unplug my things.
Okay. Hi, Suburban Hillbilly. Hi, Bug Dude. Hi, Southernmost Illinois. BC Truck is in the house. Good to see y'all. Demeter Solace. All right. Gardner Josh. All y'all snuck in. Okay, I'm going to put you back up on this screen here.
Okay. So here is our overpressure plug. Can y'all see how this goes up and down?
Yes.
When I push it. Okay.
Yes.
So from the underside, it's right there. If I ever replace this rubber gasket that all Americans don't have, this is a Presto, the kit comes not only with that gasket, but with this. So I replace them both. If you ever get an old canner at a garage sale, this thing will look like a dog done gnawed on it, a rat. It might be brown. It looks toe up. You're going to replace that. They still sell the parts. Okay. So the first thing you do when you start a canning session, in my case, I get Vern to do it because I call his hand the claw. I turn this over. I make sure that this vent cover lock, it's a 2-piece system. I make sure it's tight. I make sure that my dial gauge is tight. And again, I make sure that this wiggled up and down. And in case you don't know this, see this vent pipe? Yes. And BC Truck could help us with this because he's like a rocket scientist. It also is on there. When you test or when you look through here, I need to be able to see through this that when when my steam comes through here, I've stuck a toothpick in it before to make sure it's clear. But if you hold it up to a light, you know that when the pressure is building and it's releasing that steam for 10 minutes, it can get out of there and you don't have built up calcium.
Okay.
And Tasha and I talked about this earlier. And if you live in a farming area or like I do rural, you can take off this dial gauge, right? You get your husband to do it, screw it off. But I always have Vern make sure these things are tight because his hands are stronger than mine. You take it off, you walk in there with your dial gauge. Some 18-year-old comes up, goes, come back here. And he hooks up, he has a dial gauge just like this or bigger on his compressor. And he sets it to 10 pounds because what he wants to test is 10 or 15 pounds. And BC can elaborate on that some, okay? Because he's a manly man. So if they set that compressor to 15 pounds and they shove that in your dial gauge and it goes to 15 pounds, eureka, your dial gauge is accurate, okay? If they've got it on 15 pounds and yours goes to 3, they're going to adjust your dial gauge. You can also purchase a new dial gauge. The only way your dial gauge gets damaged or can get damaged, you soak it in water and it gets moisture behind it, or you store it in your shed and it freezes and this freezes. And again, you would have moisture behind it. So Vern is able to always test mine. Mine ain't never had a problem and I've had it since 2012. So I ain't too worried about it. But your plug here is very important. So normally that has, and we've talked about this on lots of chats, the original regulator that comes on a Presto or an All-American. Most of us prefer an aftermarket item, what we call the jiggler, and we put that on there because it generally rocks. It's not going woota, 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 woota. If it does, it's probably at 15 pounds and you're in trouble and you better back up, turn that heat off. I don't know, take the dog for a walk, save your children, leave your husband inside. He'll be fine. Okay? Because they get on our nerves.
Duck and cover, man.
Yes. And you can find another man to kill your bugs and test your pressure gauge. Extension service used to do it. People could go into Clemson Extension Service and they would test their gauge. People don't do that anymore, but I'm telling you, it ain't hard. Okay. If you got a little compressor, I've seen people do it with a bicycle pump, that they do with their foot. So BC probably knows that ain't too hard. So you just want to know what you're doing. The science is done for you when you look up your altitude. And Tasha, you wanted to talk some about finding is it altitude or sea level?
Yeah, let me get me back on the screen.
Yes.
Here. Okay, so ladies and gents, all you got to do, say you live in Little Rock, Arkansas, you Google, what is the elevation of Little Rock, Arkansas? And it will give you the elevation, okay? And then you can take and you can write it inside your canning book, every canning book, not just one of them. That way, see, mine is 2,172 feet. If you put it in every one of them, what if you can't Google, the internet's down for whatever reason that day, you want to can or whatever, and food's going to go bad if you don't get her canned up. Mm-hmm. You want to have it already pre-written down. If you move, just write it in there neatly at the top. If you move, you can mark that one out and put your new elevation. Or if, say, you can at your house and your mom's house, you can write down your elevation for your house. You can write down the elevation for mom's house if it's different than yours. And that way, it's in all your canning books. You don't have to hunt for it. You don't have to look it up all over again. And it's right there with you in whichever book you decide to use. Mm-hmm. So that's just a quick suggestion. I took the time to do that today with all of mine because I just got into the canning books. So took the time to do that.
And when you get a trusted resource like a ball book, okay, or the complete guide to home canning, inside every single one of them is the graph that we're used to seeing everywhere that shows, right, what your elevation is and what your poundage is. My pound is 10 pounds, right? Somebody else is 15 or whatever. So
Right.
it's all there. There's no guesswork to it. Here it is. It's called pressure canner altitude adjustments. Wait, I got to go this way.
Yeah, go forward.
Go forward.
All righty.
Okay.
And give it a second to focus.
Okay.
Yep. See, it's hard to read there, but it's not blurry in the book. But basically, it's going to tell you what altitude, if you're at certain altitude, what weighted gauge to use, and all of that. So
yes. And then it's got your altitude in feet. I'm 10 because we're 0 to 1,000. And but it says on here, your dial gauge, it's why you hear me in a video say, I pressure can at 10 pounds, but it's really 11 because my dial gauge needs to be just past 10
right
to be 11. So that's why we say that. And then it shows you 1 to 2,000 and what that is. So that one would be 11 also. When you get 2,001 to 4,000 square feet, you're at 15 weighted gauge, 12 on your dial gauge. So all of the science is done for you. We just have to follow the steps because people are like, I don't understand why I'm doing it. You're doing it because Ball, which is a trusted resource who for years has tested new recipes, know that they're safe. So that we then know that what's on our canning shelves is safe. Now, God help us all. I'm going to attempt to share another item. So hold on, Tasha, just hang on. I'm going to click share.
Okay.
I'm going to go for my screen. I'm going to pick window. I guess I've got it. Oh my God, I'm on fire. Okay, here it comes. Okay, and then Tasha has to do something.
I just got to add you to the stream and put it on the full screen there. Okay.
Okay, welcome to Amazon, people. On the left, on your left, I think it's the pressure canner, pressure regulator, pack of 1 in silver. That's your jiggler. The one in the center is the pressure canner regulator. That's what came on my Presto.
Yes.
Okay, you can use that. Ain't nothing wrong with it. The other one's just a different view, right? That's the pressure cooker canner regulator. That one's weird. I've never seen one that didn't have flared edges like the center one. So when you use your jiggler, did I show another picture?
Yeah, you're sharing the ceiling ring now.
Well, hell yeah. Okay. Well, remember I showed that to you.
Yep.
If you have a Presto, order 2 of these. What that is your new ceiling ring, what I called the gasket under the lid. And you see in the center of the plastic, you see that's the overpressure plug replacement.
Right.
All right.
On Mouse Toes, on that pressure regulator, not the jiggler one, but the one in the center.
Yes.
That one, like in my Presto manual, it says that that one actually will not rock or jiggle until it's reached 15 pounds of pressure. So you cannot go by that. You cannot go by what your pressure is based on that, whether it's jiggling or not. Because if is that correct on yours in your manual as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It will only rock and I stop sharing and I'm going to close this. Yes, it will only rock when you have reached 15 pounds of pressure. And what the hell did I tell you to do 5 minutes ago? Get your dog, get your kids, leave your husband inside and get out the house. And you can yell at him, turn the burner off. Okay. So that is true. So that is why many of us like this one. It don't go jigga, 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 jigga. Okay. Because if odds are it's at 15 pounds of pressure. If your dial gauge, your pressure dial gauge is accurate, guess what? It doesn't become irrelevant when you use this. If you don't know if it's accurate, when this thing gets to going, remember it's letting a little bit of steam and heat out to keep you at 11 pounds of pressure. Okay? If it's doing this,
too high.
Yes, too high. So because I know my dial gauge is accurate, because Verm's got a little compressor thing, okay, and I could take it to the kid at Ace, but he gets on my nerves, okay, and I don't like him. So anyway, I have Vern do it, okay? So when this rocks gently, I know when I look at this, I'm like at 11 to 12 pounds. And then say I'm standing right there in my laundry room and I hear, okay. And it does take a minute after you bring it up to pressure, say in my case, 11 pounds. Y'all have seen me have Vern move my pressure canner off of my propane super burner and move it to a back smaller one. Because I'm used to my stove, I turn that one off. My pressure's up at about 13. He moves it to the back. I have the burner on. And as soon as it hits that 11 pounds, I write down that is my process time start for 75 minutes. Now, if at any point it drops below 10 and 11 pounds, I got to start all over. Okay, because remember, it's telling you to process it for 75 minutes. It didn't say 65 because you got to go get your hair did. It doesn't say 60 minutes because you broke a nail. It doesn't say 55 minutes in case, your Uber comes. Okay, it says 75 minutes. So just like you don't vent for 5 minutes, you vent for 10 because your trusted resource, proven recipes, tested and proven for safety, tell you to vent for 10, keep it up to 10 or 11, and process it for 75 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever the time it is.
Right.
So then when that process time is up, your 75 minutes, you simply turn the burner off. Don't touch nothing. Do not touch it. Don't pull. My jiggler has escaped. Okay. Don't pull that thing off or it's going to go psst, and you just ruined everything in there. Okay. Leave everything alone. Walk away. Okay. Go outside. See where the tide is. I don't know. Sweep your floor. And once this dial gauge, your pressure gauge, your dial gauge is down to 0. And more importantly, this that comes up. Remember that? Your air vent cover lock. When that comes up, you start timing your 10 minutes through your vent pipe.
Right.
Your 10 minutes comes up. You put this on. You're 11 pounds. This starts gently rocking, letting a little bit of steam and heat out to keep you between 11 and 12 or 10 pounds. Okay. So when it's over and your dial gauge is at 0, this may not be down, but when it drops, it'll do this. It's loud. Now, guess what you can do? Take your jiggler off. This thing is hot as heck. Mm-hmm. It's like steel or something. I mean, it conducts some heat. So I set it in a spoon holder. All right. Do not open this canner for 10 minutes. Okay. And guess where it says that? In your trusted ball resource book and your manual.
Yeah.
So your dial gauge is at 0. This drops. You clearly hear it. You remove your jiggler because nothing's going out of it. Set your timer for 10 minutes. Do not open this until 10 minutes. At 10 minutes, you open it. Make it away from you because there's a bunch of hot water dribbling down here. Then you can remove your jars. But you only lift your jars up straight. It don't matter if there's liquid on the top. Don't tilt it. It says don't tilt it. What did I tell y'all about not molesting your jars? Right. Okay. Leave them alone. And then you carefully walk them over to where you're going to have them set to do that. But if you know the parts of your pressure canner and you follow an approved recipe, you can't mess this up. But I have shocking news for you. If you let your canner get up too hot, and after your 35 minutes, whatever that approved recipe said, process for 75 minutes, when you open it and there's no water in it, guess what? Your pressure went way too high.
Yeah.
So you weren't regulating your heat, whether you use the jiggler in conjunction with the dial gauge. If your dial gauge is accurate, they work together. You can reference them both. And that's how I got used to the correct rhythm for 11 pounds. If this ain't right, okay, you got to ignore it and listen to that. I like to have a little double backup. I'm elderly. Yeah. I can't a lot of meat. I don't want to make Vern sick. Okay, if he's going to die, I'm going to kill him myself. Okay, so, but other than that, I'm not taking him out with my own bad food.
Right.
So.
Okay, couple of quick questions. First one, Alicia wants to know, does the sealing ring need to be oiled on the Presto?
It does say, let me pull up my sealing ring kit. And I will read you what it says. So I always have 2 of these in stock. Okay.
Yeah.
It says wash the new sealing ring. I don't. Okay. I just run it through some water, right? Just kind of under my little faucet. Then cover a small, let's see, you get it in place. Let me see what it says. Clean it, your ring groove, and that's under your lid if you got chunks of tomatoes under there. Who has the hell has that? Keep your stuff clean. Don't be disgusting. Okay. So there's no, this is what I like. Please be sure that your canning lid is free of all food particles and foreign material. I read food particles as chunks of tomatoes. Okay, foreign material, dead cockroaches, because it's disgusting. Okay, so you're going to, if necessary, to help the cover easier to open and close, a very light coating of cooking oil. I only use olive oil because vegetable oil, goes rancid and it stinks. All right, applies to the underside. So I never have to do that. I just run my new, what do we call this? What is that? Darn it, Oily, you're in charge of hard words.
Your
What is
sealing
this
ring.
thing? Thank you. Okay. It's never hard and brittle. I just run it underwater and then fit it back under here. I've never had to oil it, but my canner stays really busy. So I think it stays moist because of use. The only way I knew to replace it is in a canning session. I tightened everything. I look at it, right? Okay. I could not get my canner to make the petcock, but it's not the air vent cover come up. Yeah. And I write down what time it starts so I don't run my canner out of water, right? If my burner's just a little too low.
Right.
So I turned it off and then I had to wait for this thing to drop. And then I still had to wait an hour till this was warm enough to touch this. What happened was on the side of my canner in the back, it was dribbling water. There was the tiniest nick. There was no tomato chunks. There was no foreign material. It had the tiniest nick under here when I pulled it out, right? And that's all it took. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Alicia has another question. Steady vent for 10 minutes before jiggler is put on, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
You do not put on that jiggler. Okay. So when this comes up, what do we call this? An air vent, right? Your canner's heating up. And then you're like, bam, yow. Now you vent for 10 minutes. And it's going, psst, and this thing will, whoops, wrong side. Where am I? It'll bubble a little bit of water, right? They make noise. This is not a silent process. It's a pressure.
And there'll be steam coming out the front there yes.
Yes.
So don't think that your canner's going to blow up just because there's steam coming out of that. That's normal.
And let's review why you know for a fact your canner will not blow up. You have this overpressure plug. So when your husband goes, I ain't comfortable with you canning in the house, that damn thing will blow. Okay, give him a little edumacation because there is nothing like teaching a man about some womanly things that they think they know it all on. It can't even blow, Jack, okay? Don't make me go get the hatchet, okay? And we have a hatchet contest. So just always know. And when your mother comes and goes, I just can't be in this house. When you're doing that, I don't want to get blowed up. Okay. You would then go, Ma, let's talk about our overpressure plug and the safety mechanism of this proven and safe Presto pressure canner. Right. And it ain't a Presto cooker because your mom will go, I can't stand Presto. I can't stand pressure cooking. Good. Because I don't do that. I pressure can food. But she's sitting here waiting for the red beans and rice to come out of it, right? Not the rice, but the red beans. So they're real funny about those things. But don't hesitate them. So once your vent is over for 10 minutes, remember, this will be up, okay? And when you put your jiggler or your regulator on, this is a weighted pressure gauge, okay? This, you can start watching it go around and get up to your pressure. And as soon as it reaches about 11, very slow. It's very slow. It's not that, okay? If the pressure is higher than when you want and it's getting up to 14 or something and you need 10 or 11, turn your burner down. You'll get to know your own burner. And then all it does is move to let out a little bit of steam and heat so that you can keep it at that pressure that you're trying to hold. 75 minutes is a long time, people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, and then again, write down what you started, your vent time. Yep, you know it's good. You set your timer for 10 minutes. You started at 3, you know at 3:10 it's ready. What if your timer's funky, right? What if it goes off and it only shows 3:07 on your clock, right? So you've got that little guaranteed thing.
Yeah. Alicia, on your she's saying she knows she's going to mess up.
You
No,
can't.
that's where you keep your notes and you check off each step you do. And so that you know after this what comes next, and you won't forget a step doing it that way. Even if you're an experienced canner, sometimes you can forget a step. So it's
Yes.
always good to go ahead and have your checklist. You can have your checklist on a piece of paper, just a scrap piece of paper like Mouse Toes does.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can put it on, you can type it up and print it off and make it all pretty and stick it in a plastic folder where you can, a clear one, where you can just check it off with a dry erase marker as you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that too, however you want to do that. But you'll do just fine.
Mm-hmm.
You'll do just fine, girl. That's why we're doing these.
Here's perfect proof, Tasha. Ask Alicia, does she have a trusted resource? Does she have a ball book? Or, you know what I'm saying? A approved recipe book.
Right. Alicia, do you have a ball book or an approved recipe book? I know Bella was saying she needed to get those, and Alicia was saying she needed to get these books too. So I told them I would put in the description after this live stream ends, I'll put the links to all of these books that we were just referring to in the description. So that's the first step. Which one do you recommend very first, Mouse Toes? Which book do you
Now,
think?
this is outdated because it turns out anything over 10 years is outdated. Okay. So, but it's a ball book. So this is my go-to. Let me put this marker. This is their newer book that has some meals in a jar and it's trying to be more hip. Okay.
Right.
And nothing wrong with being more hip, except when you're older. I mean, I was hip at one time. It's how I caught my man. Okay. So it has some interesting things. You can still get that. But once Alicia gets the book, let me tell you why she cannot mess it up. This is what the book says. Prepare your weighted pressure, gauge pressure canner, jars and lids. Okay. So you pull out your pressure canner. You check everything under the lid like I showed you, making sure things are tight. Right. You put the recommended amount of water in it. Then you go get your jars, your lids, and your rings. Say, let's do chicken. This is to do chicken. Okay. Then it tells you 1 inch of headspace. Right. So let's raw pack chicken. You're just going to take chicken breasts or chicken thighs and chop them up. Get them in there. You ask Alicia if she knows how to do 1 inch of headspace.
Alicia, do you know how to do 1 inch of headspace?
Most of us are used to doing it on the jar, but, and I don't know if you have one, Tasha. I didn't think about getting my Pokey Joe that shows you 1 inch, 1/4 inch on it.
I don't right now. I mean, it's in the other room, but it's put up right now.
Okay.
I put all my candy stuff up unless I'm using
So then it tells you get your jars ready. It actually tells you, okay, pack the poultry into your jar to within a generous 1 inch headspace to the top of the jar. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze. But I can't. Remove the air bubbles. Okay. It tells you exactly what to do. Wipe the rim of that jar with some water or water and a little bit of vinegar. And then you know how to put your lid on. And then you know how to put your ring on. You set them in your canner. Then it says this, place the jars in your pressure canner. It will, and then it tells you how long to process. I'm going to go get my Pokey Joe, Tasha, and be right back.
All right. While we're discussing that, yes, we are going to pressure can green beans this Saturday. I can't remember what time we agreed on because That's quick. Now we're not going to add, let me get myself back up on the screen. Okay, so we're not going to add any kind of meat or a meat product. So we're not going to add any bacon. We're not going to add any bacon grease. We're not going to add any chicken stock. This is just going to be basic canning of green beans. And so Mouse Toes and I are going to do that live. She's actually going to talk me through it and you through it. So anybody that wants to be on the panel, let me know. You can come up and be on the panel. We're going to do it step by step together.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it earlier in the day, so it's not going to interfere with Ghost Live canning session.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just going to do just a simple vegetable because it doesn't take very long to do. What time did we decide on doing that, Mouse Toes? I couldn't find
You were going to do a poll, but we were thinking 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so that'd be noon. So
you're just 1 hour behind me?
Yeah.
Okay. See, the Peachy Prepper messed us all up. I can't tell time anymore by time zones.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, we could do that noon Saturday Central.
Okay.
So 12 Central Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
which would be 1 Eastern Saturday. All right. So if you guys want to can with us, go and get either pick green beans from your garden or go pick up green beans at the store or the farmer's market, and we will do green beans, and we're going to do them in pints, the smaller jars, pints.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to do Saturday.
Here's something else groovy about the Ball Book or the USDA approved recipes. You will need 1.5 to 2.5 pounds of green beans for each quart jar. So you think, how many beans do I buy? If I'm not just taking them homegrown out of my freezer. So when you get these kind of books, it'll tell you how much you need. So let's go to Pokey Joe and our headspace. This is a clever little object here. Okay, so I call this the Pokey Joe. It's my debubbler. It tells you when you add something to debubble it, whether I do broth, I stir it to get any air out, or carrots in liquid, you move it around to get any air out. The end of it, and this makes me crazy, okay, because y'all know I'm nuts anyway. When people stick this in there, it makes me nuts. This is your actual headspace gauge, okay? So the first one is 1 inch. So when it's said to 1 inch of headspace, right, this sits here like this, and you go, okay, it's perfect. But the reality is it's right at the rim of this jar. Right. But say you got a funky, weird jar at your grandma's and it ain't got no name. Use this. Okay. So I just use the Pokey Joe to poke. Okay. I have a red one that I can do this because I don't like all that stuff running down it.
Yeah.
Your magic wand that picks up your ring and lid is also a Pokey Joe.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Mm-hmm. And if you're poking it in here and then you go to pick up your lid and you got a carrot chunk running down, I just find it messy. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is also your debubbler. So it is impossible to mess up the recipe doing 1 inch of headspace because when you get a canning kit, you get this in it and your little funnel, remember, that you do to protect it. And we can talk about the jar. Okay.
All right. If there's real quick, we have a question. How much, I was going to look it up. If we're canning green beans, then we need how much per, let's see, you'll need 1.5 to 2.5 pounds of beans for each quart. Mm-hmm. That lets you know how much. Okay. So 1.5 to 2.5 pounds of green beans for each quart, which is 680 grams to 1.14 kilograms of beans for each quart. Okay.
And Tasha, you were going to post that recipe when you put up the thing for the canning.
I will.
So that everybody, and so we've taken a picture of it out of this book, and that's what the instructions are we'll be following for green beans. And Tasha has an image of it that she'll put out for everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm going to mark that while I'm right here in it so I don't forget. And I don't have to hunt for it again.
So it's interesting if you'll learn the correct words for your items, right? This is a pressure dial gauge. This, where'd my jiggler go? I done lost my damn jiggler. Okay, it's run away. It's gone. I don't know where it went.
Her jiggler got jiggly with it.
My God, did my husband come in and steal my jiggler? This is an outrage. Okay, my island's only so big. I don't know where the hell it is, but you remember what it looked like? It was black with the ring. Okay, yes. That's your weighted pressure gauge. Right. Okay, so it's still accurate because remember it's 10 pounds. Yeah. The other thing is, in the name of God, and excuse my fingernails because remember I've been fishing for 4 days. I got pluff mud out there, and when you catch fish, your fingernails get discolored. You take a shower, you wash your hair, it's irrelevant. Nah. Southern chicks on the coast got funky looking fingernails, but in November and December, mine look fabulous. So if you got 3 parts to do it. Please don't store your fresh unused lids like this. They come from the store, remember, if you buy them with the ring, the lid, and the jar. So what I do when I get them is if I get them those on sale, I don't think we've seen one of those since last year.
Not in a little while.
I remove that lid. Then I just put the ring on it. I store it upside down, either in an old ball box or I put it on my cannon shelf. And it can slide all around and it's not going to affect it. So here's the fact. This is the rim of your jar. This is what you're going to use a paper towel with water, whether you canned broth, carrots, chicken, and it says it in the instructions, wipe the rim of your jar. So it's what you want to make sure of is when you put this lid on, and for the record, people, this is not a flat. It's a lid, okay? It makes me mental. I get emails. When do I put the flat on? And my answer is, what the hell's a flat? When I get a flat, I call AAA or my husband. Okay? I can't talk that, but I call a vent cover a petcock, but it's not. Okay? So I have my own idiosyncrasies.
Yep.
So remember this little orange part, okay? It used to be we got these hot in boiling water.
Right.
Okay, now they just say, run it under soapy water and clean it, okay? The reason you want it, and the reason also you want to pick it up with your magic wand, and this is sold as a magic wand for canning. I'm just not making that up, okay? Okay, is that you ain't got to touch it under here, because remember, if you don't put botulism in here, you won't get none. But if you do this, okay, I don't put my fingers in my jars. This one will go straight in the dishwasher after playing with y'all and showing it to you. When I pick that jar up and I'm ready and I got all my chicken or carrots cut, this ring comes off. My funnel goes in. Usually they're green, orange, yellow, whatever. I drop my carrots in. I debubble. Okay. If it's 1 inch head space, right? I know how to check that with this. I'm good there. I'm going to pick this lid up, stick it on. And guess what? I then just hold it there. I ain't never touching the inside of that. Then I secure it with my ring. So you got 3 parts to it. You got your jar, you got your lid, not your flat, and you got your ring.
Okay. And how tight do you put that ring, Mouse Toes? I know the answer, but in case somebody doesn't.
Okay. Now, first, you've got to become very in tune with your feminine side. I actually have one. Okay. Right. So my jar sits there and I do the limp wrist. I got a really big hand, but a tiny wrist. Let me tell you what irritates me. Going shopping with girlfriends at a jewelry store. Not that you can do that since last year, but anywho, you want to slide a cute little bangle over. No, I have to have one that opens and clasps because my hand is huge, but my wrist is little. So this works for me. I make a limp wrist. This is sitting on my countertop with carrots in it. I grab it when I cannot turn my fingers anymore. That is fingertip tight for me, right? So I can unscrew it. My fingers will not go any further unless I reposition them. So I do it like this, limp wrist, right? It's basically at 12 o'clock. That's as far as my fingers will go, unless I turn my jar and go tighter.
Yeah.
So fingertip tight for me, limp wrist, fingers won't go anymore. That has worked for me for 575 years that I've been alive and can. At
And so
least.
don't be wrenching it on there real tight. You may never get that sucker off if you do that, for one thing.
Tasha knows this story. I was doing a buttload of things, and we had 2 canners outside with friends. And I asked Vern, would you put those lids on? And he knows this. The man picked it up in a rag. It was hot. The thing bent up. Okay. Liquid went everywhere. I almost peed my pants. Okay. Because he'd been here helping these chicks all day, and he just hit the wall. And I was like, loose, limp wrist. And he went, okay, I blew that one. So he kind of chunks it in the sink. And then he did them. So it also works for him. Just that is, you'll find what works for you. So mine is a limp wrist. Let me try and see it from the side. That's as far as my fingers will go. Because if you crank down on it, it's too tight. And you know how you'll know that? When you open the jar and this thing looks like a little pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be very apparent. But you know what the worst thing is? You just lost a lid. Hopefully your jar didn't break, right? But your jar is reusable. Every time you take a jar out of your dishwasher, that's where I wash mine, okay? Now, if I have broth in it or something, I wipe out any grease in it because I'm on a septic tank, but that's me. When I take it out, well, Vern, I load the dishwasher, run it, Vern unloads it. We put a sign on it that says clean. When I pull them out, he pulls them out. I feel all around the rim. Then he stacks them up, right? Then he wants me to check them before we put them in our cannon pantry like this. I also drop the rings in my dishwasher. On the rack, I put the ring, and then I put this, right? So that way he's checked them. And if they're chipped or damaged, he's just throwing them in the garbage.
Right.
Right? And we both know that that jar is safe. Because if we had a chip in this jar, this can't seal evenly around that rim of that jar. So this is your jar. That's the rim of your jar. This is your lid. And that's your ring. But I don't want to leave a clean new lid on this. I just keep even my empty boxes. I'll keep them when I get them on sale and they came on the jar. I just take them off and slide them in here so they're not indented.
Okay, good idea. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your jar lifter nearby or no?
I can go get it. Just one moment. This is what my girlfriend tells me when I text her. She'll text, hold one moment, please. I'll be back.
Oh my goodness. And y'all remember, if you have any questions, put them in all caps so they're a little easier to see. I went and got my eyes checked the other day and they have changed significantly and I need new glasses. So yeah, it might be kind of difficult for me to read your comments. And so having them in all caps makes it really nice for me on the questions. Okay. Now see how she's holding that? You see the part where her hands are? It's got the little spinny black things on it. That is for your hands. That is not, don't lift up your jar with that in. I made that mistake once. Thankfully, it didn't drop, but that could very well have spun right out of there.
Do you know how many channels I watch? And you don't have to do this. It doesn't have to be at the edge, okay? Once I get that first jar out, say I have 8 pints in there, right. I might have to pull the first one out like this. I set it on a squared over dish towel so I can get a better grip, then carry it to where it's going.
Okay.
The next ones, I can slide down easier, but I don't want to carry this like this. But I have seen people repeatedly on videos do this. And I think, I don't know, I'm impressed that they could do it, because if me or you did it, we would drop that hot broth and get 3rd-degree burns.
Oh, no, I did once, and then I was like, duh, that's got to be for my hand.
We didn't know.
Luckily, I didn't drop it, but yeah, I could have very well.
Yeah, so it's very easy to do. And what I do when I'm transporting it across my wood floor, I just have a dish towel folded over to catch any water, and I just have to come back one at a time. So
Right.
that jar lifter rules. And when we were talking about the funnel earlier, mine happens to be one of these. Oops. So that's all. It's just a Progresso.
That shows the headspace too, doesn't it?
Yes, because remember, after you stick your debubbler in here, in my case, a Pokey Joe, it might have been perfectly at 1 inch or 1/4 inch, but once you got the air out, it dropped a little bit, and then you add a little bit more.
Right.
So then if you want to double check it, you carefully take this off, and then you go, okay, how much headspace did I need? There's your measuring thing at the bottom. Where the hell is it, people? I can't see. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So anyway, look, there it is. I have to get the light right, but remember, I'm just in a normal human being's kitchen. This ain't no lidded studio. So honestly, those who are saying, I'm afraid I'll mess up, once you get your approved book, it always lists the steps for whatever you're doing. You have to make an effort. If you cannot read, you can't do it. Okay? Because you couldn't. So that's different. I have lots of kids who have autism, who can because of writing down the notes, right?
Right.
And that freaking rocks, because they don't have confidence in anything else, but their moms let them do all those steps.
Yes.
They know how to clean the jar, and you'll see them, as usually I'm watching in a live stream. And if they pick up, say that their magic wand and they do this, they stop, they discard it, because I always put like 2 more lids in to boil than I need.
Right.
And then they wash their hands and they come back, and nobody goes, oh, they know not to touch it. Look, it's like a sword.
Okay, we have a couple of questions. First of all, Demeter Solace wants to know, what's a good way to can sweet potatoes uncooked? I know you just did a recent canning sweet potato video. So don't you pre-cook them for a little bit of time once you get them peeled and washed and cut?
Where would we get that? Who asked that question?
Demeter Solace.
Demeter Solace. Where would Mouse Toes find that information on how to can sweet potatoes?
I don't know. Where
so I'm going to go here. Let's go to the index. Would it be under S for sweet potato, P for potato, or V for vegetable? I don't know. Because I couldn't tell you how I do it, because every single freaking time I go to one of these books. And you know why? Every single time my sweet potatoes or carrots or chickens right? Because I follow the steps. I'm a knuckle dragger.
It's under S for sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato. Okay, I got
$3.94.
$3.94. Thank you. See, she knows I'm slow. She just sends me to the page. I got seafood. Is it this book?
Yes, ma'am.
$3.94 is seafood for me. Is your book broken?
Nope. I'm telling you, this is
sweet potato.
Okay, yours is different. Mine may be a newer or an older book. Who knows? I think mine's a newly updated book.
See, mine's 100 years old, like I am. Sweet potato, UVW. Okay, sweet apple, sweet and sour. So sweet black cherry. I ain't got no sweet tater. I don't know where the hell I get it, but I get it in this book, because that's why it's all toe up.
All right. Well, in this book, it says to wash sweet potatoes and drain in a large stainless steel saucepan of boiling water or in a steamer. Boil or steam potatoes for 15 to 20 minutes, or just until the potatoes are cooked enough to easily remove the skin. Okay. She actually peels hers first, because, handling hot potatoes is not fun. So you can peel them and cut into quarters and just peel them and then cook for 15 minutes. Do not mash or puree, it says in here.
Because it would be too dense. That'd be like making mashed bananas and trying to can it. People do it, but it's not an approved recipe, because you need the heat to be able to get through all of this. Yeah. So, but anytime you want to know, go to a recipe book, look under vegetable, potato, whatever, and follow those steps. So if you love them when you opened it, the next time you want to can more, you go right to that book. There'll be recipes you don't love. Then you go, I didn't like them in sweet syrup. Yeah, that was disgusting. So I made a note in the book, ick.
add anything like that after you can them, probably,
Yes.
like brown sugar or whatever you're going to add.
Hmm.
Okay, C. Dean wants to know, where did you get your funnel?
I got this funnel. I don't know if you know this, but I live on the coast and my UPS man is my boo. Okay. Because Amazon brought this to me and it's from Progressive. So I get everything on Amazon because I ain't got no big stores next to me. They don't sell this at my Ace Hardware. They sell
Yeah.
like your basic green one. So I do like the measurement. Oh, the measurement's on both sides. I was like, they can't see it. I'm so stupid. I blow my own damn mind. So, but I also check with my own debubbler measurer for the rim space.
Right.
Yeah. So Amazon, my UPS guy, he hates me, but he really likes me. He just, it's a love-hate relationship. I just ordered $280 worth of stuff and he said, how many more packages are coming? I said, you tired? Yeah. So, that they wouldn't have a job if people like me didn't live remote.
Okay, so on our green beans, it's saying on this recipe that's in this book for green beans, we're going to wash the beans, just rinse them in water basically, and we're going to trim the ends and cut and break into 2-inch pieces. Okay. Then we're going to raw pack. Or are we going to raw pack or are we going to hot pack, Mouse Toes? Which are we going to do?
I've only hot packed green beans because I love my canned green beans. So I stick with the hot pack method.
Okay, so to hot pack, what we're going to do for the hot pack method is we're going to combine the beans with boiling water to cover, bring to a boil over medium-high heat, and boil for 5 minutes. That'll put them at tender crisp, where they're tender, but they're still crisp. We'll drain, reserving some of the cooking liquid for packing. If desired, pack hot beans into hot jars as directed in step 3. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're basically going to just do a quick boil on them for 5 minutes, and that's the most cooking we're doing with our green beans, and then we'll hot pack them. Okay.
And she'll post that recipe under her video or however she promotes it. And then I'll have a copy of it so that we can talk through the steps.
Yes, because Mouse Toes isn't going to can with us. She's going to make sure we're following the steps correctly. She's going to be the overseer.
Yeah.
The supervisor.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'll be slapping people around.
And so that way we don't forget any steps. But I will have notes pre-made on the description. That way, if you want to copy and paste that, you sure can. You can copy and paste it into your computer and print it out, or have the recipe up on a separate screen, or however you want to do it. You can screenshot it, however you want to do it. So
it would be just like this, Tasha, where instead of opening the book to read it, they would have that printed out recipe that you've taken a photo of from a proof recipe. So same thing. It shows this, tells you the steps.
Right. So that's what we're going to be. Yes, we'll need a stock pot for your jars with some water and some vinegar, just a splash or so of vinegar in there to put your jars in to get them going. They just need to boil for 3 minutes is what my book said. So they just need to boil for 3 minutes to kill the bacteria in the jars. And do you need to boil your rings also, Mouse Toes? Does that say that in there?
Here's something interesting. You know how you get the Canon kit and it gives you the metal tongs?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, I don't like that. So I got silicone covered ones from Amazon. My UPS man brought them to me rattling in a box. But that lets you, when you reach in, say you've got them in a water bath or laying sideways in a boiling pot, it lets you pick them up like this if I don't drop it, okay? Because I've been playing with this jar. And then it lets you pour out the water, right? And then set it down. My hand is the countertop to fill with your beans.
And you have to be careful when you do that, because those tongs, the water will go right down the channel on the inside of those tongs down on your hand. So be careful.
Yep. So you only need to tip them halfway, right, Tasha?
Yeah.
To get the water out.
Yep, that's it. And so yeah, you just need some kind of a large pot for that. The seasoning for the green beans, you can put salt in it if you want. I will put a little bit of salt in mine. Make sure it's not like your table salt. Make sure it's canning salt, okay?
Hmm.
Um, and
Why
then
is that, Tasha?
because the table salt has caking agents in it and stuff that will cause your water to be cloudy
And iodine. Yep.
and
Hmm.
iodine.
Hmm.
So,
And cannon salt is just kosher salt.
right.
Yeah, no additives. And then the other thing is, please do not warm up your jars in your oven. Just stop it. I don't care whether you put it on 200, 225, or 250, because we made a note, okay? The official word from quality assurance team at Ball and Kerr, Orchard Road, pick one. The glass used for your Ball canning jars is not tempered for oven use, okay? Can't, you shouldn't bake a cake in it. That, not even that you're going to can, but you know how kids like to do, bake a cake in a mason jar, and then they just add
Mhm.
icing to the top, eat it out. They're not putting it on the canning shelf. Okay, these are safe for home canning recipes, cold or room temperature food storage. Right, you heat it up, and it's also why I used to, if I only had like 4 to do, I just lay them sideways in a pot of boiling water. Okay, I didn't have to get out my water bath canner and submerge them. Lay it on its side, get that water really boiling, and then I use these to turn it around to get the other side hot, because your oven ain't getting this jar hot enough to put some hot ass green beans in and then pour in from a hot tea kettle boiling water. It just
Yes,
ain't.
which is also one of the things. I'll put in a description everything that you need, all of your tools, and then the recipe. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have all of that in the recipe. What I'll do is I'll excuse me, I'll pre-make a video and I will share a picture of what you're going to need so you can write down a list, and then I will share the recipe and the list on the description of that video.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do a reminder on my community tab probably the day before we can also. So we'll have that. Suburban Hillbilly is right. If you don't have a reliable canning book, like my Presto manual. Now you don't want to do this with a manual from a canner from like 1911. Okay, you want to make
Exactly.
sure it's a newer canner that you're doing this with, those tried and true recipes, because the science has improved over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But my Presto canner does have some reliable recipes in there in the booklet as well.
Here's something else, Tasha. This here jar, if the canning people wanted you to use a metal implement, don't you think they would have made your Pokey Joe, your magic wand out of something longer lasting and less stainable
Yeah.
than plastic? Okay, so if you take a kitchen knife and you start doing this to stir up and debubble, odds are you're etching your jar. Okay,
Right.
when I to open a can of, say, chicken or anything that could be stuck in there like ground beef, I use this. It's a silicone spatula. So I get on the side of that chicken in there to get it loose. You've seen me dump them on videos. It's
Right.
unceremonious. But I ain't fixing to take a kitchen utensil knife, like I cut meat with, or your fork, spoon, and knife set. I'm digging around with this, because this is the cool thing about these. This comes off
Right.
for cleaning. So it ain't
Right.
like there's tomato juice or something stuck in there. So
Right.
that's why, and these are super cheap. You can get these at any Ace, any Walmart, any Target. My UPS man brought it to me. But it makes me mental to see people a knife or a fork or a metal
Yes.
spoon digging out the stuff they canned.
And you need to warn your family too. Will not be tolerated in this household. You never
Yes,
use metal in my canning jars.
because you can change your Wi-Fi password. And if you're paying for that cell phone, you can shut it down. Okay. So there are ways to bring them to heel. Okay. So
That's
I like these little silicone tongs. They're easy. Oh, and this is another thing. For those who haven't got their book yet, do you know that you can download this on the interwebs and put the dang thing on your desktop?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just like the hardcover book because I ain't fixing to go opening a PDF file. I can't even use an index correctly because I'm old. Okay. And I just scan through this and go, look, there's the thing on meat. Look, there's the other thing. And I forget I know what we wanted to talk about. Okay. Also in this book, okay, for men, for those of us who are more visual, this is that reference. Okay. You can buy that on Amazon or anywhere. It shows you the absolute steps that you do. So for those who like a picture visual, it's right there.
See, I'm like that. I have to have a visual.
Yes. Oh my God, it is so good. And I'm going to see if I can find the one where it talked about the weighted jiggler. We call it a jiggler, but it is the weighted. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. What the hell is it? Okay, this is tomatoes. On this page 3-7, it actually shows what you're doing with the dial gauge pressure canner. Remember the dial gauge in the middle?
Yes.
You will be at your 10 pounds of pressure, okay? Then it shows with your weighted gauge, which was our jiggler that has gone missing on my damn island. But anyway, maybe it's under my cannon lid. No, it's gone. I think my husband absconded with my jiggler just to mess with my mind because he knows it's special. Did I put it back where it goes? Hell no, I didn't put it back where it goes. That'd be ridiculous. But yes, that is very interesting. So it actually tells you the difference. And I really enjoyed that part. I was like, get the heck out of town. So your dial gauge pressure, right? The one you dial, and then your jiggler is your weighted gauge pressure canner. It's crazy. I love this. Yeah. So you can download this on the interwebs. I don't know, but it's the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, National Institute of Food and Agriculture, and it was revised in 2015. So I love it.
And then there was that one picture I was going to share with them. Remember the temperatures for food preservation and storage. Okay,
yes.
So it's in this book, The Complete Guide to Home Canning by the FDA, and you can see it's got the canning rack with all the different jars of foods on the front. Okay, in there it has a temperatures for food preservation, and it's kind of hard to see, y'all, but you see where it gives a safety zone. It gives a safety zone there, and it gives danger zones. And on here it says that for storing your food, the maximum storage temperature you want it to be is 95 degrees. The best storage temperatures for canned and dried foods is from 70 to 50 degrees. And that's Fahrenheit. And then if you go no lower than probably 50. If you start getting down into lower temperatures, especially freezing, well, the water in your jars can freeze. That can compromise your seals. Okay. And then a cold temperature permits slow growth of some bacteria, yeasts, and molds. Freezing temperatures stop growth of microorganisms, but may allow some to survive. The best storage temperatures for frozen foods, it's saying, is 0 to -10. So that's another good tip there. But yes.
Nice.
And the top part gives the best temperatures for food preservation. So that's a really great chart in that book. And remember, like Mouse Toe said, you can actually download it. And that way, if you wanted to print out that chart or something, you could. If you wanted to.
And I found the one on the chicken because we were talking about chicken on that same book Tasha was showing, okay, the one you can download or that we have a hard copy of. And it says recommended process time for chicken or rabbit in a dial gauge. If we're doing the hot pack for my 10-pound pressure, my elevation, it is 11 pounds on that dial gauge because you can't hold 10. Okay. When I use, and I found my jiggler, y'all, it was on the canner lid. Okay. When we call it a jiggler, but that is the weighted gauge pressure canner, 10 pounds. Remember? The ring is 5. The mechanism is 5.
Yeah.
So this is approved. We just use smack talk, and we just use slang, and we call it a jiggler. But it is a weighted gauge pressure canner. That's what this is that we put on there. Your regulator doesn't get to rocking. It might move a teeny bit, but it makes no noise, and it'll just let out some heat or steam. So if you get an approved thing, okay, and you follow, it shows you, put it in your pressure canner. You'll think, oh, do a pressure canner water bath. Pull out the recipe for green beans. It says pull out your pressure canner. So I promise you, you cannot mess up. You can't. You'd have to make an effort or go, oh, I'm just going to like vent for 5 minutes because I'm not in the mood. Okay.
Yeah,
well, you're just, trying to make people sick.
Follow what the book says and you'll do great. Okay. Yep. Alicia, that was probably my granddaughter that opened the door to see if I was off the internet yet, instead of a ghost.
Or CJ.
CJ's laying right here.
Okay.
But yeah, my granddaughter probably. And let's see, over on Pilled, thank you, Web Gorilla, for the cookie. I really appreciate that. I appreciate that gift.
Awesome.
I appreciate you so far. And no questions over on Pilled so far. Guys and gals, if you have any questions real quick, get them put in over there, and CB's daughter will let me know what questions you have, if you have any.
So again, you don't have to know the science behind it. If it says vent 10 minutes, vent 10 minutes. It says process at 75. They done did the science. You know how many people got sick till they got the science down? Let's can some chicken at Ball for 45 minutes, and then they all eat it the next day, and everybody's out for 10 days. They went, let's try 65 minutes. I don't know how they did it. But the science is done. You just write down 1 inch. I'm doing chicken, 1 inch of headspace, 10 pounds. I just wrote my area. I don't write that on my own note. Because I'm doing pints, I'm going to do it 75 minutes. I write down my vent start time and my process start time. Right. So I promise you can do it. And when we do the green beans, Tasha will have that recipe everybody's doing, and then I can read along on it, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then it will step by step. Now, people who real advance might get bored, okay? But the rest of us are going to be trying to blanch our green beans for whatever the time is, and we're going to wait to help each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And Alicia, yes, start your temperature on your stove at high just to get it started. But once you start to get up to pressure, then you can lower it, and then you're going to keep an eye on it. You don't want it to go under the pressure that you want. If you do that, you have to start over. So you have to, sorry about that, y'all. So anyway, you just go ahead and, man, he made me lose my concentration.
I know. Oh, turning your heat down.
You keep slowly turning it down until you get to the proper, where it's keeping it right about even. So it just takes a few minutes to keep your eye on it and keep watching it, and then you're good. And I mean, you'll still need to stay close by. You don't walk off, go out, water your garden and all that stuff. You stay right with it. But we can just sit and visit and stuff while that's going on, and we'll be good. So.
And remember, in all of Tasha's chats, in all of Southern Ohio Prepper'S chat, there are no dumb questions that you can ask in a side chat, or you can send to us in an email. No one's going to go, oh my God, you should know that. We grew up doing it, right? With a parent or whatever. So, I mean, we still buy up-to-date books and those kind of things, but you're never going to be belittled for saying, well, I just don't understand if you were to ask the question. So every time I run my pressure canner, I have to vent 10 minutes. We're going to say, yes, absolutely. Not, oh my God, of course you do. So you're never going to be belittled for asking it, because you're asking so that you can safely follow the steps. And then it becomes a habit for you. Get my heat up, right? When my vent lid cover comes up, then I'm going to vent for 10 minutes, set that timer right. It becomes like muscle memory. But because my brain is 60, how the hell old am I? 65, 64? Vern, am I 64 or 5? I forget. I'm 64. That's why the hell this old broad writes it down, okay? So I know I got to do it. Four. He's answered this question before.
Vern has the answer for you. 4. Hey, Caitlin, by the way.
He didn't go, oh my God, we're the same age. You can't remember how old you are. He just told me how old I was. Like we'll say, do you have to be? So never, please don't ever be embarrassed because you will never be belittled for asking a question. It's how we all learn.
Right.
You know, because we ain't beating you up because somebody helped us learn, you know?
Yeah.
And,
And if somebody wants to be on the live stream Saturday with us to can with us,
mm-hmm.
I have like 10 full spots available. So it'll be me and Mouse. So I can have up to 8 people. But really, my bandwidth isn't real wonderful. So I may not be able to have quite that many.
Mm-hmm.
But so probably the first 4 or 5 that get back with me and want to can with us on the stream, that's who I'll add. But the rest of you can still can from the side chat. If you don't
Yes.
get on the panel, you can still can from the side chat, and that way if you have any questions, Mouse will be
Mm-hmm.
walking us through step
Mm-hmm.
by step. Okay, so all you got to do is just let us know if you're having an issue or if you have a question or whatever, and we'll get right to it. And we're all going to do the same sizes. If we do all the same
Yes.
sizes together, pints, we'll all have about the same processing time, because it may take a little bit longer for one person's water to come to a boil than the other,
Mm-hmm.
or to come to pressure, but we'll be really close. So
Mm-hmm.
if we're all going to just do it just to get this under our belts, guys and gals. We're going
Yes.
to do this together like that.
And
So
just like you said, if they're not on camera, they can still post a question in the side chat and
yep,
I'll see it. I'll
yep,
know they're not on camera. Mm-hmm.
exactly. And so yeah, if you want to be on the panel, just email me at callmecrazy, no A's in it. So CLLMECRZY and let me know who you are as far as your YouTube name goes too, because that may not be showing up in
Yep.
the in your email. So I need to know who you are, and then I'll send you out links. And again, we're going to start 12 Central on Saturday, 1 Eastern on Saturday. So I'll probably make sure your links are out at least 30 minutes earlier, if not sooner than that. And just hop on there, follow that link, and hop on there about 5-10 minutes at least before we start. That way everybody's set up. Okay.
And do you only email them a link, Tasha, instead of putting it in your
Yes,
side
I
chat?
don't put it
Okay.
in the side chat anymore. I don't put
Right.
links in the side chat. And if I share a link with you, please don't share it with somebody else. Please
That's
just
right.
keep it. Just you use the link for you.
So we have
All right.
swords. We will come
Yeah.
for you. Okay.
Hiya.
Hiya.
I will put a permanent marker mustache on your face.
Yes. Yes. We will come for you.
All right. Well, I think that's it, Mouse Toes, unless you have anything else.
It was freaking awesome. I loved
It
it.
was.
And
Thank you so
my
much.
feet hurt because I'm just standing here for an hour and a half. I'm standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mouse Toes, for all your help and for your tutorial on canning for beginners. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
being the brains of your operation
No.
because you make these things happen.
Well, I appreciate you. We love you so much. I love all of you. Thank you so much over at Pilled. Thank you so much here on YouTube, everybody, for stopping by. And I appreciate each of you. If you have any questions, you can email me at that same email I spoke of. And if you need any prayer or anything, you can always email me at that as well. So I love you. God bless. Thank you all. And please remember to prep for it all. And we will see you Saturday. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
y'all.